Imagine, if you will, the Hayward Fault is struck with a massive earthquake. The walls are trembling, the ground opens up and tries to swallow you whole. All utilities are down, there is no running water. You have very little food and provisions, and worst of all, your loved ones may be hurt or even missing. You never know when a natural disaster may strike. It could be today, tomorrow, maybe even years from now. Disasters are never planned, but you can always plan for a disaster. Recently, we have all seen the effects of wildfires. There are fierce, unruly forces in nature that take everything in its path, unfortunately taking some lives along the way. As concerned citizens, we have researched and familiarized ourselves with data regarding natural disasters in California. According to an article in the San Jose Mercury News, circa 2006, 71% of California residents consider themselves somewhat prepared for the aftermath of a natural disaster. This increase is significant compared to the 58% that considered themselves somewhat prepared for the aftermath of a natural disaster in 1985. An in-class survey reaffirmed that many of us are still very much ill-prepared in case of a natural disaster. Living in California, we should all be prepared in case of a natural disaster. To better explain why you should be prepared, we will clue you in on some data, help you visualize a scenario where you did nothing to prepare, offer several solutions to prevent the tragic scenario from taking place, then help you visualize what it would be like if you followed our advice and were prepared in the event of a natural disaster.
The deadliest wildfire to occur in California's history just happened a few weeks ago. According to a local Sacramento news station called KCRA, this fire in Butte County claimed over 85 lives, destroyed 13,000 homes, and burned over 150,000 acres. Within the first couple days, the same local news station reported over 200 people missing. In 2017, Governor Jerry Brown released a statement preparing Californians for future natural disasters. The effects of the Sonoma fires, he made very clear that were not a one-time fluke, that this was to be California's new normal. 2018 has proved that he was correct. The Sonoma fires took even the most prepared rangers by shock. According to Burt Whitaker, the director of the Sonoma County Regional Parks, his rangers are highly prepared in the event of any natural disasters. But what they weren't prepared for was a fire of this magnitude to take place. As a consequence, 10 rangers even lost their homes, and the civilians were running in a state of panic for their lives. An acquaintance of mine actually is now deceased because her and her husband did not evacuate in time. As they were running for their lives, they were trapped by the fire and consumed by the flame while still in their car. Wildfires aside, the other worry Californians should be prepared for are massive earthquakes. Now, although the Bay Area hasn't been directly affected by a massive earthquake in many years, scientists envisage that it is more than likely to happen soon, and that we will be hit hard. In fact, according to Newsweek, in an article, How to Save California, there is a 99.7% chance that we will be hit with an earthquake of a magnitude 6.7 or higher within the next 30 years. The information I just shared directly affects each and every one of you in this room. The reason why is because the article goes on to say that one of the most likely spots for this massive earthquake to occur would actually be in the Bay Area, along the Hayward Fault, which, as you can see, is just in our backyard. This could greatly affect all of us. Being prepared for a natural disaster is no longer a good or bad thing. It It is a life or death scenario, and it is my fear that California residents might not be adequately prepared for what could occur.
Suppose that a natural disaster, such as an earthquake, is coming sometime. Let us also suppose that it is an earthquake whose immensity is about the same as that of the Loma Prieta earthquake. If nothing is done to be well prepared, serious consequences can result. According to an article by Peyton Roberts titled, "The Language of Disaster, Can Culturally Focused Communication Increase Household Preparedness?" Something such as the following could occur if Californians are poorly or not prepared for a natural disaster. A magnitude 6.9 earthquake along the Hayward Fault could leave 155,000 homes uninhabitable, 360,000 people homeless, and more than 110,000 people in need of public shelter, according to the Association of Bay Area Governments. Power outages would be widespread. More than 1,600 roads would be closed, and phone systems would be overwhelmed. Now, if we take a look at the risk for the counties in California, we can see that there's some pretty shocking data here. For example, we see that the majority of Californians live within 30 miles of an active fault, which is not good at all. Now let us take a look at the risk for the counties in California. So what you see there is a map of our state with the 58 counties. And so if we take a look at County of Alameda, we can see that there's a 76% likelihood of an earthquake with a magnitude of 7 or higher striking the county in the next 30 years. This tells us that if we do not act now, then we will see some pretty dire consequences. If Californians continue to fail to be well prepared for such a disaster, we will more than likely experience an increased percentage of injury or death from these unforeseen events. Now that we understand California's vulnerability to natural disasters and the need to be prepared, we would like to discuss what will better prepare you before and after natural disasters.
Richard Allen, a seismologist at the University of California, Berkeley, states, we have the technology, we have the science, and we have the networks that can communicate quick enough to provide warning before a natural disaster strikes. You see, mere seconds of a warning can be the difference between life and death. But although a warning is critical in the event of a natural disaster, it is still not enough to ensure the safety of you and your loved ones. Staying prepared for the unexpected, along with a warning, will mitigate the number of those injured and lost due to the catastrophic event. We believe there are 4 basic principles every Californian should adopt to help prepare themselves for the unexpected. First and foremost, yes, staying stocked up in canned foods in the event of a natural disaster will prove to be very significantly useful, because in the case of an emergency, water and electricity systems can be down for several days, and staying stocked up in canned foods and water can keep you and your loved ones hydrated and fed. Secondly, Constructing a family evacuation plan can stem the amount of stress it has on you and on the family in the event of a natural disaster. Simple tasks such as moving things around the house or writing down plans will prove to be very effective in stemming the amount of stress on you and your family. Next, investing in insurance will save your home. Purchasing insurance is a quicker and less obstructive way to protect your home, and that rather than taking the time and money than fixing a damaged home. Lastly, but definitely not least, learning CPR and always keeping a first aid kit nearby will prepare you in the event of a natural disaster. According to the article, First Aid Training and Capabilities of the Lay Public by the University of California, Los Angeles Department of Community Health Sciences, studies show that the most common injury due to natural disasters in California are soft tissue injuries. Injuries such as burns, lacerations, bruises, puncture wounds, shocks, and sprains. These types of injuries can be effectively treated with basic first aid techniques. Having knowledge of first aid and access to a first aid kit can prevent the complications due to the initial injury. Remember that you are the help before help arrives. All in all, being prepared will lessen the damage toll a natural disaster has on our vulnerable population. It holds the potential to save numerous amounts of lives, which includes yourself, loved ones, or any local passerbys. Adopting the plan to be prepared will also make yourself more competent in the event of a natural disaster. Instead of running around worrisome and ill-prepared, being prepared will diminish the likelihood of additional misfortune aside from the natural disaster itself. And now that we have discussed the problems and solutions for natural disasters, let's envision yourself in a natural disaster and what the benefits of being prepared are.
Every year, disasters disrupt hundreds of thousands of lives. Some can have long-lasting effects. People are seriously injured or killed. Property damage runs into the millions of dollars, and long-term emotional support may be necessary. You all should understand the importance of making a family disaster plan and having an emergency supplies on hand. You and your family should be ready for home evacuation, understand how and where to take refuge in emergency shelters, and how to care for your family's basic medical needs. Being prepared and understanding what to do will reduce the fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany most disasters. The many benefits that come with being prepared can be both physically and emotionally supported. In the case of an emergency or a natural disaster, there will be a lot of people looking to seek for shelter, gain assistance from first responders. In most cases, there will not be enough first responders to attend to everyone's needs, which is why you need to be prepared to help yourselves. Having an emergency evacuation plan is very important in the sense that you will have a plan on how to exit your home in the situation, having a rendezvous point to where everyone should meet in case anyone gets lost, and have a shelter that you can go to. Also, according to ready.gov, a natural preparedness website, besides an evacuation plan, you should have a minimum of 3 days of food and water supply. Many people look at natural disasters and are not intimidated because the Bay Area has not experienced a drastic disaster in quite some time. An article by the San Jose Mercury states that a survey done in 2006 finds most Californians don't think earthquakes pose any greater damage than other natural disasters elsewhere in the U.S. And 3 in 4 think they have a good chance of surviving a large trembler should it strike in your home. Now imagine a 7.0 or bigger earthquake strikes the Hayward fault line. Your home starts to fall and crumble. You are seeking safety with your family or trying to escape without any severe injuries. You have lost your home and everything around you. You have no food and safe shelter to attend. This situation would not be as bad as I stated if you were to follow and attend to our steps on how to be prepared in case of a natural disaster. Having food and water surplus, an evacuation plan, and cash ready to go will save you, your family, and many others around you, and also can help reduce the fear, anxiety, and losses that accompany disasters. Now that you have insured the detriment that comes from a natural disaster, we will talk about what you can do today to better help yourself and family in the case of a natural disaster.
To sum up what we had talked about today, natural disasters give you clear visualization of things that can happen when you encounter a natural disaster and steps that could be taken. Now we're going to give you precise steps that you have to take when you have a natural disaster. As living in California, you should always be prepared for a natural disaster. An article from a trusted health facility website, Help Every Day by Christian McCoy, states things that you could do during a natural disaster. First of all, when you're in an earthquake, you always duck, hold, and cover. So when you drop to the floor to something that's strong, like a table or a desk, like in the classroom you would duck under something like this, and then you cover and hold on. You hold on to your neck to prevent your spine, and then you wait for a couple minutes till everything stops shaking, then you can get out to a place where it's safe. And then after that, if you're under a fire, you should get like an escape route from the back of your house. So this is an escape ladder that is planted to a window, and this is a little girl coming down the ladder if there's a fire. These are not really expensive stuff that you can just buy and keep in your home, and this saves you a lot of stress when you have them in your home, because when there's a fire and there's a lot of people in your home, not a lot of people can go through the front door, so other people have to go through the exit. And when you're in a flood, you have to listen. You have to listen to the radio to see where the flood is. If it's really closer to you, you have to go to a higher place, which the flood can get to you, or you get something like this. So this is an inflatable boat where you can stay on, and this helps you navigate through flood. And it's really easy to get. You can get them from Walmart or any store like Big Five. If you're after a natural disaster and you need a shelter, all you have to do is text shelter to this and your zip code to 43362 to get a location that's closer to your house. But if you're not in a natural disaster and you just want to get ready in case there's a natural disaster, there are other things that you could do. You could get trained for your local Meals on Wheels Association. This is a organization that gives food to the people that were affected by natural disaster, and they go around giving health information and free food. Or you could get a CERT certification. This helps you learn like basic things that you need to know during a natural disaster, like CPR and other training. Now that we've told you about natural disaster, you want to get prepared for natural disaster because you don't only stand the chance of saving your life, but you stand the chance of actually saving the life of your loved ones. And you don't want to be in a place where you would be thinking if you should have or could have, but you want to be in a place where you actually can save your life. Be prepared, stay alive.